Okay, so this is actually pretty funny. One of everybody's beloved favorite characters in Nons. One of my favorite characters draws in Nons is Madison, but it turns out somebody actually took my Mandy idea before I even thought of it. And this show is not a custom anime. Do not think it's a custom anime. It's a very good anime. It's called Princess Resurrection. So Princess Resurrection is a parody anime based off the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, but they put a little of a Yu Yu Hakusho twist to it. So like, when I was over at Peter's house, there was this one show he was telling me about called Ladies vs. Butlers, and Peter always used to shove old anime down my throat. Oh, old anime is better than new anime, stuff like that. Always doing this shit. And so it was crazy because this is actually something that came out in the early 2000s that was kind of OG back when me and Peter still liked Part 1 Naruto. So this is called Princess Resurrection. It's about a girl that looks just like Mandy. And yes, see, it's based off Mandy from Billy and Mandy. Somebody actually took my idea before I even thought of it, and it came out in the early 2000s. Now, this anime is based off a girl who has a little kid by her side, who's not based off Billy, but who has brown hair, and literally what she does is, she doesn't really take some hostage. She finds interest in this guy because he has spiritual powers, and it kind of looks like Hellsing. It kind of looks like a little bit between Hellsing, a little bit of vibe of some old school anime, but the main point is Princess Resurrection is about a girl that lives in her own mansion, and that girl is based off Mandy from Billy and Mandy. So yeah, it's pretty freaking funny. And she has superpowers, and every now and then people like try to break into her mansion, or people try to report her, or something crazy happens where she has funk on the outside, and literally what this girl does is she uses her spiritual power here and there. She has a scythe just like Mandy, but it's so freaking crazy because Princess Resurrection is about a girl who kind of resembles Remy from Black Lagoon. She acts just like her, and she's literally just looking for a challenge. And she goes on these odd adventures. Where one time she went to a tribe where there were giants, and some of this action is pretty freaking cool. And it was literally so fucking dope because it represents how old school anime action was always on point versus some of the new anime, which is kind of inconsistent. And this was a really good point because sometimes people break into a mansion, sometimes there are people with big fluffy costumes, and it's all referencing adventures from Billy and Mandy. It's actually a pretty good show. It's a very good show, and it's actually very dark, but it's dark in the form of a parody. And they have a really good ending, and you can tell it's an original anime because how it was structured and how anime as a whole was structured back then. And Princess Resurrection is about her and her adventures with this little kid she finds in the street. And she is literally just wielding the scythe and in and out, and people are just talking to her, and then she goes around on these crazy adventures and meets all types of different kind of people, and she uses the craziest thing with her mind. She chases somebody else with a military car. It's so fucking crazy. And there's this one other time where literally there was these people with animal costumes that stuck into her house, and she literally does tried to kill them and shit. Like, we're all trapped outside the house. Some miscellaneous object with some missiles that are inside her house where they trip for it. And one of the people that in animal costume stay. It's a very, very good show. I highly recommend it. But in my opinion, you know, if you want me to be cringy, I feel like my idea for Madison is more serious. But this is an actual parody anime, and she actually makes it feel real. But the thing that makes it a parody is that the adventures are episodic, so it always gets cut short. But it does have some Dragon Ball Z action to it. It has a lot of, you know, Black Lagoon action to it. There's a lot of gunplay. There's a lot of slice of life stuff to that anime. It all is a parody because at the end of the day, it's a joke, and she's just living in her mansion, and she's doing miscellaneous things that because she is literally one of the strongest people in her area, and she gets to adventure after adventure after adventure. So I recommend that you go watch Princess Resurrection. It is based off Mandy from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.